And yes, now see, we are getting the recording part. It is being live streamed. So should I consider that it is okay now?
Yes, please go ahead, and we will share the link everywhere in all the groups. Emma, you can start sharing the slides, please. Sorry about it.
So everybody please say loudly, Jai Baba Swami. This is Swamiji's testing for us, and we are going back into our interview.
Right, let me see if I can get this right.
Not a problem. We are fine.
Okay, do these look like the right set of slides?
Yes.
Oh no, I need to go to this, don't I? There we go. Excellent. We're kind of back on track. A couple of things just before we launch into the position bit that I didn't mention before. One that I has always stayed with me, partly because I was slightly rude to Swamiji, but anyway, the story was that we were traveling along in the car one day, and so I think we'd been to Cheltenham, we were going to London, and Swamiji said, I don't have a jumper with me. Where's my jumper? I said, I don't know. So I said, is it in your suitcase? No, it's not in my suitcase. Okay, well, let's stop. Let's look again. Looked everywhere for it, couldn't find it. Get back in the car, and he kept saying to me, did you check the drawers? Did you check the wardrobe? Did you check? Yes, I checked everything. There was nothing there. No, there was nothing there. So anyway, he was, slightly agitated about it. So I said, somewhat rudely, well, look, Swamiji, you always say to us that, if we've lost something or we need to get the answer to something, we have to connect to our own soul. We have to connect to the subtle body. So perhaps you need to connect to your subtle body. He went really, really quiet for a couple of minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. And then he said, I've got it. I know where it is. He said, it's with Pinaki, who was Srila Nag's husband, on an aeroplane going back to India. I think I must have given it to him, or that's where it's got to. But it's definitely in his suitcase.
So it was in Pinakin's bag. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, that is interesting.
So basically, Swamiji, the physical person, was agitating. He wanted the jumper, but actually he wasn't at that particular moment putting his attention into his own soul, into the subtle body.
It's a lesson for us, as Swamiji says that even a guru is an imperfect human being, and just like a pipe, if it is made up of iron, it will get rusted. If it is made up of plastic, it may get burst. If it is made up of paper, it will be torn apart. The same way, any human being has its own imperfection, and we have to be ready to accept that. This example tells that Swamiji also, as a human being, on a stool physical level, gross body level, feels the same imperfections or emotions or stress the way you and I can feel in our body with our mind. So that was very interesting, and I like how you help Guru to get centered and balanced with your question.
Well, at least he took it in good part, but yeah.
Right. No, it also shows that he says in his words, Jaisa tera gana vaisa mera bajana, meaning that the way you sing, I play my instrument. Okay, meaning that he flows with the energy wherever he goes, whatever is happening. If at that time the energy was about traveling and stress and anxiety, then he was part of it, but he came out immediately by centering himself, and he remembered where the jumper was. Beautiful, beautiful Anubhuti. Let's go back to our interview part. Now that we are live on YouTube and our audience can see us, listen to what is going on. For you, I just want to say that we did not start the interview till you are back on live YouTube. So we are jumping here. After joining the Samarpan Meditation, Emma, did you hold any position in the UK managing committee or any area head or center head or those kind of promotional things?
Yes. I not long after I joined, I was asked by Swamiji to be the area head in Leicester, which I did for a while. I think there was a bit of announcement at the beginning with some of the things that I had done. And then I was a reporter from, I can't remember, maybe it was 2006 to 2009. And then I became managing trustee from 2009 to 2012. And then since then, Swamiji asked me to be part of the, to set up research basically into Samarpan and be part of the international Samarpan meditation research group. So I've kind of focused around doing that and done quite a bit of travel associated with that to, some of the medical conferences, which has been, brilliant, a really different experience altogether.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, so basically, in simple terms, yes.
Do you have any pictures or slides prepared for supporting this?
No, I don't actually. What I could do is I could hop down here a bit, and I know that was another of your questions, wasn't it? But we can come back to that in a minute.
Yeah, let's go back to the summary of that question first.
But I could go back to this and maybe talk a little bit just briefly about this. So basically, the top left is rather a professional picture taken when certainly I was looking quite a lot younger, when I was in Cheltenham, and somebody asked us to be part of a magazine called Red about meditation. And so we started a group in Cheltenham, and there's Lorna and Fee, and the people at the back are people who Lorna and I used to work with in Cheltenham. We set up a group which continues in Cheltenham. I left nearly 20 years ago, was it?
Wow.
I left in about 2005, I think I left. And Lorna's kept the group going. And the picture underneath, the two pictures underneath are some celebrations that we had in Cheltenham. You can see Jay is there, and and Aruna and Mick from Leicester are there, Sophia's there. So that was one of the events where we brought quite a lot of people together. The picture in the middle here has got Carrie and Vaishali, who's back in India now. And then, of course, Eva, who I think we were mentioning a little bit later,
Yes.
and Sarah on the right.
Very beautiful.
So I set up some groups. And then in the middle, top floor Transcendence, was an article that they wrote for a group that I set up when I went to Ashram Business School. And that was a weekly group, and that went really well. Whilst I was there, I was only there for about 18 months. So, but we had some good events there. I think Bihag and Namisha came and did an event there actually when I was there. And then on the right hand side is where I was at MOD, which is most of my career has been. And I got people to do the 45-day meditation challenge. I haven't got a picture of the group because they're a bit shy MOD people, it has to be said. So yes, so a number of people took part in that, and then we kind of looked at some of the results from that as well. But the 45-day meditation challenge was part of the research that I did, which I think possibly comes later
Right.
when it's in MOD, and I think maybe I'll do a separate session. I think we're arranging a separate session on the detail of that, Kendra.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So wherever you went, you always had some sort of exposure given to others around you on Samarpan meditation. This is your workplace, I believe.
Yeah, this was my workplace, and I'm somewhere down the back here. I did a short session on Samarpan for them. It was a multi-faith meditation well-being event that I became part of, and so that's in the Ministry of Defence, which is the Ministry of Defence building. And then down here, there's an article that when I was getting lots of people, including trying to get senior leaders to do the meditation, I asked the general who I was working for, who's in the picture, if he would sign up to this, because obviously it gives it some leadership. And to be fair, over the many years I worked for MOD, I've always been very open about doing meditation. Not a lot of people really are. And so I've always worn it on my sleeve. And so I was always very happy to tell people, and they thought, in the early days I was slightly barking mad, but particularly in, the MOD, which is wasn't as open, but now is very open. And as you can see from the bottom, the general's saying that, mental fitness is as strong as physical fitness. It's a really important thing to do. Yes. So he threw his weight behind what I was trying to do with the 45-day challenge.
Very interesting, because I think the key element of any determined person or successful person is that focus, that mental balance. And Swamiji also says again and again that only a balanced mind can create the balanced efforts, and only the balanced efforts can create the success in our life. So,
and I think the thing is not to look at the outcome, isn't it? So, people come, people go, they turn up to your events, they don't, groups carry on or they stop. And the bottom line is that, despite what I said in the previous part of this this afternoon was, my time with Swamiji on a physical level came to an end, 2009-10 time. Well, actually, it kind of restarted again fairly recently, 2019. And I was in Ahmedabad. He invited me to have a chat after an event. And again, he impressed upon me the same thing, that keep doing what you're doing, do the research, do the groups, keep engaging people, just don't look at the outcome. It doesn't matter. And this has always been my principle. I always tell people that I meditate. If they're interested, I tell them a bit more. If they're really interested, I get their phone number, invite them to a group. But just don't look for the outcome from it, because you don't know. People are all in different stages, and so some people will need it at different times in their life. And if they really want it and it's right for their soul, they'll come back to you. And that's the principle I've taken.
Very true, very true. Because we don't know, people are going through different timing, different stages in their life, and depending on the time and situation, they may accept, not accept, or may continue, not continue. It all depends on the personal situation. But again, it is all about our choice, free will.
Exactly.
So about the managing trustee, you have put some notes here that Swamiji told Emma, I don't want you to tell anyone.
For a year. So I genuinely don't know what he was doing in that time, but he took time to presumably rebalance something before I became the managing trustee. And then, as I say, at the end of or just before that period started, he said, okay, you follow the teachings, you carry on, you're on your own, which is where I felt I made the most growth after that time, if I'm honest. Yeah.
So in that case, like generally Swamiji appoint us for the responsibility for the Guru Karya, or some kind of highlighting us in the public exposure. And during that time, it is more of our test that how much we have progressed in our spiritual journey with Swamiji. Basically, Guru has his own way of making us medium for his energy, and making it evident that changes that he want to bring in any environment or any organization, he will bring it through us. Many times sadhak, when they are holding position or when they are looking at the post holders, they are judging that he is right, she is wrong, blah, blah, blah. But it is not that. It is through the synergy of strength and weaknesses of those sadhaks or those people in the interaction. Guru is trying to create something. Guru is trying to make all our negativity come out and cleanse our mind, our soul, our way of thinking. Very few people have understood that, and they have become personal about this. That is my personal way of looking at it. It is very important for us to not take anything out of any interaction, not just Samarpan meditation or organization, but even in our personal life, Don't take it personally, but take it as a lesson. Take it as a result of our karma and try to evolve from it instead of downgrading ourselves in our spiritual journey. That is the way I look at it. That was beautiful. And I know that you probably finished your managing trustee term earlier than the specified time, but that was probably
I
you
think it's
have
about,
played your.
I think it's about the same.
It was the
Actually,
same,
it was the 3 years, yeah.
right? So that is amazing part in our Guru Karya, that we become instrument. Sometimes we continue for the next term, sometimes we leave earlier, or sometimes we get disheartened or get too egoistic about the things. But with your conversation, I felt one thing very open-mindedly, that I can talk with you and you can share whatever you understood or you felt without any barrier. You see, sometimes people do not come out with the open mind or open heart how they felt, and that prevent us from sharing how other people can learn from our experience. The objective of this is Samarpan is to learn from the experience of this sadhak who is coming as a guest, and how I can avoid my mistake, how I can progress in my spiritual journey, learning from the mistakes or good things that this person has done, taking it as an inspiration. So I enjoy talking to you in that manner, that our wavelength, the spiritual level of vibrations are matching very well, and it is going very well. This interview is going so well so far. We can move on the next part.
Okay. We were going to talk a little bit about JCO, which I don't know whether how much people know about JCO. I think it's spread around a lot now. It's an amazing organization.
So JCO, what it stands for, first of all?
Joint Collectivity Online. So
Joint Collectivity Online. So tell us a little bit about the concept of JCO and how it got started and implemented in UK or Europe.
So I'm one of the number of people that runs sessions on JCO. To be fair, I'm not the founder of JCO. It's a web-based and internet-based meditation group, and it runs daily collectivity events, meditations, and it runs weekly activities online. There are many countries involved. They all have a slot, different times on JCO: the UK, Germany, South Africa, Canada, USA, Mauritius, Oman, Peru. I'm having to read them because there are so many. Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and India. And so everybody can meditate together. It doesn't matter which country you're from. It has a very similar format. And the weekly sessions are great sessions where you can, I think it's 7 o'clock on a Wednesday UK time, where you can talk about the meditation. I was until quite recently running a group which we've just had a little holiday from with Mattress Van, where again we talked and people could just drop in from week to week depending about spiritual things at a weekend, spiritual concepts, and I've learned an awful lot from that, which has been great. And I think for me, one of the key things in Samarpan is to be able to talk to people like we're doing today. It doesn't have to be very long sessions like now, they can be shorter ones, but I think you get an awful lot from learning other people's journeys and how you can grow through those as well.
Very beautiful.
So it's a really great, it started in 2011. 3 people got together in UK, Sweden and Lithuania, started meeting on Skype, initially on a Wednesday, just to discuss meditation related topics and support each other. And then a year later, it has grown to, from a group of 3 to 5 to 7 people. And then, JCO Online, jointcollectivityonline.com was created, and it's never looked back. It's, it's grown to, well over, I think, 1,500 people in total. Rajni even, if I can get Ragini's and Rajni's sourced out. Rajni originated from the UK, where she first started meditation. She's now living out in Australia with David, and they have a lovely retreat centre there, and she's the most amazing JCO leader currently. We connect, online across all the different countries, and it's real support. And so I started supporting them. I can't quite remember when it was, whether it was 2013, 2014, maybe something like that. Running an early morning session, 6:15. I used to do. Well, I still do. I don't do it every day. We share it around, and we're always around to back each other up. And it's just a really nice working relationship with people. I also run my own group online. I call it my own group, but I was running a group in Department for Education when COVID hit, so we moved that online, and that then became open to anyone else who wanted to join. So I run an 8:15 on a Wednesday evening, where we have a little chat, and then we just a short chat, 5 or 10 minutes, and then we go straight into the meditation, which we run off the Australian version, because in the UK there's an 8:30 p.m. UK one as well. So it's brilliant. Here's a picture of everybody. This was at the German retreat back in about, I think, 2019 this was. And these are all the different members of JCO. So you can see Stephen Black and Maria and Kate, Helen. Various people. There's Rajni herself hiding at the back.
Yes.
So
it is interesting to see that how people from all over different sources, they come together and they can run such a beautiful online collectivity. And again, the driving force behind all this is the thread that connects all the pearls, our Gurudev or Baba Swami. So that is amazing. And the underlying principle is only Samarpan meditation, nothing else. Rest all is just to make sure that we are moving in the right direction together as a soul. That is interesting. I love it. And I want to congratulate all the members of JCO who are doing this, and with their efforts, so many people around the world are benefiting from it. Ed Kamen, one of our trustees, he regularly attend these JCO programs, and in fact, he attends more JCO than our American programs. He loves that. He really enjoys that.
Oh, it is. It's great. It's a great way. I mean, I started it because that time suited me. I didn't have a group. I was working away from home, and it just felt like the right thing to do. So yeah.
Very interesting concept and very beautifully coordinated by all of you.
Yeah, no, it's great. Thoroughly recommend it to people who would like, it's great if you can get physically to a group, but if you can't, it's a really great way to
enjoying. Yes.
Yeah, and there are the notes.
So now that we have heard so many things about your journey, traveling with Swamiji and JCO, let's go back to some other part of your life. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your professional life, and how do you think Samarpan meditation has helped you connect the dots of professional life and the personal life?
So, I mean, this is interesting, isn't it? Because it's how Samarpan becomes part of you. It becomes part of your values. You become more sensitive. I've always had intuition, to be fair, and I didn't realize I had. I once went to a leaving. I once left a job, and the person I was working for at the time, one of these group events, get a cake, wish Emma well. And he said, I realize now that, and this is going back well before I met Swamiji, actually, what I've learned from working with Emma is she has this intuition that will often say, I don't think that'd be a really great thing to do. I'd do it like this, or I think so-and-so might happen. So perhaps we might want to do something different. And he said, I didn't really, go with it at first, but he said, by the end, he said, I've realized that, Emma has some kind of intuition, which, as I say, if you have it, you don't realize it. It's, and I worked for a director general when I was in MOD for a while. And he used to say to me, it's quite interesting working with you, because you're further ahead of your time constantly. You're always trying to put in the latest concept. And that's quite hard work, because so in some ways, the development of Samarpan and developing the meditation kind of mirrors your work, where you're trying to bring in something, how to run projects, I know, for example, or how to do a commissioning approach or whatever, is a different way of doing something, which is changing the culture, changing people's beliefs, and getting them to have some structure and order in their lives a bit. So I think there's some parallels there.
The interesting thing is you are changing for better in your life, whether it is personal or professional, with the help of Samarpan meditation. That is interesting, I find.
Yeah, and I think all of it underpins what you do, and it's the confidence, it's the intuition, it's the going with what you feel, because you listen perhaps more to your soul than you do to your head. Sometimes there's a bit of a tangle between the two at work, because you have to be on an intellectual level. So it is quite interesting how the two things kind of dock together. And sometimes it comes up in life that you don't feel say that you're in the right job. So it sounds easy to say let go, and it can be the hardest thing in the world, but you do have to let go and just trust that the right circumstances will happen, and that the right thing will be brought to you. So I've never planned my career. I've always kind of gone with what's come up and what's felt right at the time. And then one job tends to lead to another, even if it's in a slightly different area. So that's what I found from the meditation. Have faith, believe in what believe in what you feel, and as long as it's not completely stupid,
That is what Swamiji says is true Samarpan, that in every situation of our life, whether it is positive or negative, good or bad, happy or unhappy, right or wrong, we are flexible to accept it as it is. Embrace the situation, embrace the people, accept it, and go with the flow. Try to contribute the best what you can, but not always we will get everything in life as we wanted or as we dreamt of. It is always going to be little different or little against our will, we can say that. But how we handle it, that shows the level of our samarpan or surrender that we kept for Guru or for God himself or to our own soul in our life,
Yeah, definitely. It's the more you try to plan, the more you'll push it away, because you don't know what's right for your soul. You don't know which job's right for your soul. When you are in a difficult position, sometimes it is hard to get out of the negative thoughts and whatever. I mean, we all have it. However long we've meditated, because all the time we're being pushed and knocked into a slightly more uncomfortable place. Because if life was a bed of roses, we wouldn't learn. We wouldn't want to get to the essence of truth. We wouldn't want to get to liberation if we thought, hey, I've got everything I want, But it's that desire breeds more desire. So the mind has got to be able to quell those desires. And if the mind is like a record and it's got all those grooves in it, we think in patterns, and that's why the earlier you start to meditate, the easier it is, because your grooves aren't quite so deep. And the older you get, your grooves are deeper, and there's more grooves that you've got to iron out. And it's the meditation that helps you do that. It's the meditation, that letting go, that sitting, leaving your thoughts, not being attached to the outcomes of things that drag you down, unless you're able to just accept.
Very, very true. And I feel that the more you get deeper into your inner journey, more you will find those grooves holding so many old patterns and habit as unconscious bias. You have to be very conscious. You have to be aware and awake at every moment of your life, because as Swamiji says that God lives in the present moment. You have to be in the present moment and try to observe independently or as a third party, as a witness rather. Then only you will be able to make the right decision, and then only you will be able to let go. Sometimes we are holding back without even realizing that I'm holding back. As Swamiji gives the example of the snake, that you are holding the snake and you think that it is rope, but if somebody enters in the room and put the lights on, then you realize, oh my goodness, I was holding the snake. It was my bad habit. It was my bad pattern of thinking. And that is what happens in the presence of Guru, that he comes, he put the lamp inside us on, and then we start seeing the things that we were not able to see. Those habits in the grooves of our inner mind, inner habits that we are carrying as unconscious bias, they start slowly but surely becoming evident to our conscious mind, to our conscious self. And then we realize, no, if I'm getting into the grief, I'm getting into the pain, I'm getting into the suffering after becoming this kind of person, I don't want to be that person. I want to be a different person. I want to evolve. I want to change. What is the advantage of having meditation in my life? I will not do it this way. I will not hurt myself. I will not hurt others. Nothing can go wrong with me when I'm with my guru, when Swamiji is with me. And that faith, that strong inner conviction is going to let you go, move forward. And that is the journey of Samarpan.
It
Isn't
is.
it beautiful?
It is. And when you look back on it, and that's why, doing this event, this afternoon has been really, really great for me, because, it's made me look back across 21 years of photographs and some kind of development that's gone on, and understand how everything kind of fits together. I mean, I don't know the future, but I can certainly see where I was, where I went, up to 2012, and then my journey myself, and then kind of coming back more into going off back to India, and then being just open to being nudged in the right directions, which has just been an amazing experience.
Yeah. And you said very interesting point here. I don't know about my future. Sometimes it is just because of our lack of clarity, but with meditation we start getting clarity. It is like if you have a glass with little muddy water, then you have a coin inside, you will not be able to see it from the top of the glass. When with meditation that water is getting filtered more and more cleaner, then one day a time will come that you will be able to see the coin sitting at the bottom of the glass, and you will be able to see the same way the future that is coming in our life too, that if I do this, I will have different reaction, different results, I will be able to enjoy the life in a different way. So Swamiji says guru cannot do miracle for you. Miracle happens with your sadhana. Miracle happens with your practice. Miracle happens with how much dirt that I was carrying yesterday is going away from me, is something that I am releasing in the environment or surrendering it to the guru. And it's a very simple thing. How you take it is all your mental block or mental understanding. But it's a very simple process. That's why the word sahaj and saral, simple and natural, is very, very important in this sadhana. Let's go on the next slide.
Oh, we've done those two, I think.
We discussed that, yes.
We're on to signals now.
Wow. So it is perfectly the same time, is perfect, I would say, the content that we discuss, that once the water get clear, you will be able to see the coin. Have you received any indication or signal from within or someone else for Guru Karya or attending any specific event?
Indeed so, yes. Over the years. So
if you have pictures, don't forget to share them.
Yeah, so initially I would say I came to Samarpan, and going to India without going back to the slides we've looked at was a very strong indication that I wanted to go, and it was the right thing for me to do. And if we close that chapter and we move forward to starting to go, finishing the trusteeship after my 3 years, and then just kind of almost not going in my shell, but kind of building myself up through a slightly different approach, was just brilliant. And it first started with feeling that I wanted to go to the Swamiji did some German retreats in Berlin, etc. And then I hadn't been back to India because I'd found India quite hard when I used to go up to 2009. The heat, the clothes, the mosquitoes, sometimes the food, all of that. And so I hadn't been back and hadn't really thought. But my friend Eva, who some of you will know, who plays the flute, She was really in the summer of 2017 encouraging me to go back. Let's go back to India. I'll come with you, but you should go back to India,
Wow.
Emma. Let me tell you, you should go back to India. Oh, okay. I don't know, though. It's all quite hard. No, you should go. So very sadly, Eva, unfortunately, died in 2017. And on the day of her funeral, it was announced by Swamiji he was doing the Shabir in Shirdi. So I knew I had to go for all kinds of reasons. I could see that I had to go. And so that was my first trip back to India in 2018. And
Wow.
of course, I've been to Shirdi. Remember the rather unfortunate trip that we talked about in the first part, with the journey of getting there. And oh my goodness, it was all so different. And here are just some pictures of what it was, what the stage was. And that was the start of a number of connections. Initially, before we went to Shirdi, I was traveling with Steve and Ragini, and we went to Ajmer because the Gadistan was open, and I really wanted to do that. And I got to Ajmer, and it was getting quite dark. And when we got there, you could just see the lake. And when I got there, I realized this was the place that Swamiji had told me in 2008 that I should come to. He said, Ajmer is just wonderful. You'll love it, Emma. He said, it's in Rajasthan and you will particularly like Rajasthan. You must go. And of course, I hadn't gone, and, all the rest of it. And I got there, and Anna was there as well. And everywhere I went, I was just like, I am in love with Ajmer. And I could see hearts everywhere. I mean, it became a joke because even if I looked in my coffee cup, the froth would have formed a heart shape. And it did become a complete joke, but it was an amazing place, and I absolutely loved it. And got the experience of going to the Gadistan, which was just amazing in that energy. And then at the end of that, we had to find somewhere to stay the night in Jaipur before we flew down to go to Shirdi. And what was quite interesting, we hadn't got anywhere to go, and we rang up a number of people and we asked people, to do with Ajmer, and they, no, we can't, because we're all going to Shirdi too, we can't help you. And then in the end, we eventually managed to find the name of, no, what happened was, this is how it works. When we were at the Gadistan, we met 2 or 3 people who had come to visit. And one of them was Ram Swarup Tank, who I think was he an area head? I don't know. But he gave me his card. And at that stage, we didn't know we hadn't got a bed in Jaipur. So we tried everywhere. And I said, oh, look, I've got this card from this, this gentleman that we've had our picture taken with at the Gadistan. So we thought, oh, we'll try ringing that. And he said, well, I'm really sorry, but I'm also going to Shirdi. But we'd actually turned up on his doorstep, poor chap. And we were there with our suitcases. Do you think just a little bit of time we could have? And he was just amazingly helpful. He brought us in. They were having their group that night. We had some tea and biscuits. He arranged for us to go on a trip at night around Jaipur. He arranged us to go and stay in a really nice, hotel just for a few hours so we could get some sleep. And it was really interesting because what then happened was that in that group that night, was a doctor who I didn't know who she was. She didn't know who I was. And I didn't know for a number of months who she was. But I then, funnily enough, ended up bumping into her at one of the medical retreats through other people. And we're all now, and I'll talk about this briefly later, but we're all now a kind of close group of people. The people who have met through Samarpan and got the most amazing positive connection. So it's like everything, you're passed from one person to the next, to the next, to the next. So the end of that story for Shirdi is many incredible, memorable events happened there. One particular evening, I was going, Sonali and Dharmesh, who we remember from other photographs, rang up and said, oh, come to us for breakfast tomorrow. So the following day, I went over to their hotel, different hotel, obviously, and had breakfast. And Dharmesh said, oh, I've just had these electrodes on my head at the Shirdi day, whatever it was, 4 or 5. you should have yours done because, Dr. Chirag Solanki's doing this. He's a, neurosurgeon. He's doing some medical research. So you should definitely do it. So I trotted along there the next day, and they had to, because I was female, they had to call 2 female doctors over to come and stick the electrodes all over me. And so I did that. And then at the end of that, because we all kind of kept chatting and we all kind of found it quite funny as they kind of plugged me in, stuck bits of glue on me or whatever they stick. And so we kind of swapped WhatsApps. Had the most amazing sensations having the electrodes on me. It was just like a film, really. It was just like a film. So gurus and temples, you name it, amazing experience. And it's funny because, as you probably heard me say, I hadn't had any contact really with Swamiji since, 2012. And I know he tells the story sometimes over the last, however many years, frequently about me being his driver. And I just had this real sensation he was going to mention my name, and I had no idea where it came from. And he did. And what was then strange was when we were comparing notes at the end, I was sitting next to, the next lecturer was Dr. Kamlesh Bajswara, probably pronounced not very well, sorry about that, Kamlesh. And he said he'd had exactly the same thing come to his head when I thought he's going to say something. So it was just, incredible
connection.
Incredible connections. And I think I have to admit, this is the point where you could press that button at the top, or is it me pressing this button at the top? Do you want me to press this now?
Yeah. Please. Now we can listen to that.
Oh, no, we can't. We've gone to Ajmer.
Go back. Yeah.
Again.
ऐसे यूके के अंदर शुरुआत हुई थी. आज यूके के अंदर ही कई सेंटर्स हैं और यूके में आश्रम बन गया है. इतनी प्रगति, इतना प्रोग्रेस यूके के अंदर हो चुका है. माने इतना विचित्र प्रकार था कि जब मैं यूके से फ्रांस जा रहा था, एक बार पूरा फौज फटा और सारे पटेल मेरे साथ थे. तो मेरे साथ में एक एमा डॉल्मेन करके थी, यूके की थी वो. तो वो बोली, एक पत्थर पे बैठ के ऐसे खूब टेंशन में बैठी हुई थी. मैं बोला क्या हो गया एमा? बोले स्वामी जी तुम्हारे गुरु जी का ना खूब लंबा प्लानिंग है. मैं बोला क्यों? पहले सारे गुजरातियों को दुनिया भर में फैला दिया और तुमको जाके गुजरात में बिठा दिया. बोले ये बहुत लंबी योजना थी, बोले कई सालों से. और क्योंकि क्या हो रहा था, हम कार से गए तो रास्ते में जितने गांव में रुकते गए ना, सब पटेल 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 पटेल. तो इस कार्य को विदेशों में फैलाने में पटेलों का महत्वपूर्ण योगदान है.
So that's a beautiful clip, audio clip. If you allow me, I will translate it for our audience. Swamiji was trying to give the little bit of history or background of how Samarpan evolved. Even in today's program, we got the same glimpse of how from very small hut in Dandi Ashram that we have today's big ashram. The same way Samarpan got promoted from Gujarat to the different part of the world with the help of Gujaratis, and the Patel communities have played a very interesting role. Swamiji is remembering the day when Swamiji was traveling with Emma, and one day she was little down, or rather she was sitting on a stone, lost in the thoughts. Swamiji asked, "What happened, Emma? What is going on?" So she said that, Swamiji, your gurus must have very long plan. And Swamiji said, "Why you are saying that?" So Swamiji, Emma says that, "What I see is your gurus sent all the Gujaratis all over the world first, and then they brought you from Himalayas and put you in Gujarat. So now you came in touch with those Patels in Gujarat, and you are traveling everywhere. Wherever they were going, from London to Paris, they were passing by in different places with the person whose name is last name is Patel, the Gujaratis." So Emma felt that this is such a beautiful networking that was going on, and with very well pre-planning by the Guru energies, that Gujaratis are becoming medium for Swamiji in taking care of him and making the path easy for traveling and reaching and staying over there By the way, I am one of those Gujaratis too, who came from Navsari and who was living in Montreal, Canada, with whom Swamiji stayed for the first time when he came to Canada. So yes, Gujaratis are very proud to be instrumental and media for Swamiji's mission. Thank you, Emma.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you for translating it, because you hear your name and you've no idea what's being said about you. Could be anything.
Yes, that's why you have to come to This is Samarpan.
Exactly. So I can finally hear the translation.
Yeah, so this is beautiful memories of Shirdi Mahasibir. And I like that experiment that was done by Dr. Solanki, you said, with all the electrodes, like we have seen in the labs, or we have seen in the pictures of any monk, but we have not seen that experiment being done on Samarpan Sadhak or Sadhika. So it was worth knowing from you that you guys have done this kind of testing on our sadhak themselves. Very interesting.
I don't believe he's I'm not aware that he's done the results yet, but
yes.
we can ask him. We can ask him, can't we?
Yes. Let's go on the next part now.
So we've talked a little bit about the we talked about the Gadistan and the picture. I can't quite see it because I've got the thing in the way, but I think that picture is the one. Oh, the picture down the bottom is where we where he met the gentleman I was talking about, and had our pictures taken with him, and I kept his number, and then he was our knight in shining armor in providing us support in China. But again, the meditation in the Gadistan was just amazing, really,
yes,
really.
I have very beautiful memory of Ajmer Gadistan. We also visited that place in end of December 2017. Such a beautiful vibration. My experience says that in this Gadistan, which was one of my first experience of meditating in Gadistan, you sit there and you don't have to make any effort to go into meditation. You literally go into meditative state right over there. That was the amazing part of this Gadistan. And it also shows the vibration or energy that Swamiji has established and how it is going to clear the polluting energy of the Mangal Murti on the upper level in the future. People who are meditating in front of the statue or Mangal Murti, living energy statue, may pass on their negativity or bad vibrations that gets cleared in the presence of Mangal Murti. But this arrangement that Swamiji is making with the Vishwa Chakra is going to connect the ley lines of the earth, as you were discussing before, from the ground level, underground level, then this Gadistan second level, and then above is the Mangal Murti or the living energy statue. So Swamiji has such a deep thinking, so much beyond our imagination or understanding at this time, because as a human being, we might be skeptical. As a human being, we might be trying to put it in our logic that does not fit. But I want you to look at the history that we have gone through in this program, this session. How Swamiji was saying in 2000, 2001, that this will happen. The ashram will happen like this. People will come like this. Navsari will be on the chart of spirituality, and people will know the name of Navsari as the place of pilgrimage. And that is what happened in last 20 years, right in front of our eyes. An ordinary person became a master or guru of the world-class level. And this Samarpan meditation became the gift to humanity right in front of our eyes. So this is what I want to say, that this Gadistan, this Mangal Murti, this Guru Shakti Dham that we are seeing, we may not appreciate or understand to the fullest what it has to offer to the humanity, to the mankind. But I am talking and my hands are full of vibrations, like it is, I'm shivering kind of things, It is that much energy. Even while describing, you can imagine when you go and meditate in that place, Guru Shakti Dham, such a powerful place. It is the energy house. It is like the grid of electricity that you go and enjoy the energy right over there. Beautiful.
It is. It's just amazing. And you know, the pictures on the left, kindly sourced for me, but the pictures on the right are kind of when we went, when it was, you know, the hole in the ground and it was just being built as the sun rose. It was amazing, amazing energy, amazing experience. And just as you've probably heard by now, I love Ajmer. I love Rajasthan. So, you know, I will be once, you know, once all this horrible COVID stuff is over, I will be back on that plane again, I think.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, when we went also, there was no upper structure built. It was only the ground level, like what you see under the pillars kind of things. Only that level we saw in the early 2018 and or end of 17. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I seem to have clicked on.
Yeah. Look at these people. Tell us more about Chris and
this is another of, you know, my coincidences that happened. So we went to Ajmer. We then got ourselves to Shirdi, did the Shirdi experience, and then I think this slide is slightly out of place because let me just see if I can flick on. Following going to Shirdi, Swamiji went to Nepal in the following November, and I went to Nepal, and I was meant to go with somebody. Unfortunately, our arrangements didn't quite coincide. I ended up going on my own. It was a big step for me. I have traveled alone before, but all the way out to Nepal, different country, different language. But I did it, you know, I had the experience of doing all of that and really enjoyed it, and had a fantastic time there. And I think there's a slide somewhere with the Nepal trip. But at the end,
probably you have that slide for the Nepal.
Say again?
You have the slide for Nepal tour also.
I know, I can't. I'm just struggling to find it at the moment because the deck's so big it doesn't move forward so quickly.
Yes,
but basically, no, there we go. Right. So, so there on the left, we all went to the Nepal Shibir, which, and again, another slightly coincidental thing was that, although I'd been to the Germany retreats and I'd seen Swamiji, as you know, there was no real personal connection. And when I was, Swamiji was not in the same hotel as the group of people I was in. I went back to pick something up from my room that I'd forgotten. And as I came back down in the lift stopped, the doors opened, and Swamiji tried to get in. So I thought it's quite an interesting, you know, you don't look for it, you're not, you know, but you know, these connections are made, and you know, these things sort of happen, and
it's like a gift you got without asking.
Yeah, exactly. So after I'd been to Nepal, the small group of us went to Dandi, back to Dandi Ashram. I hadn't been there for 9 years. And Sashwati kept saying to me, it's changed so much. I can't believe what your face will look like when you see how much it's changed since you were there last in 2009. So wow. I went off back to Dandi with a group of people, and we can go back to this slide up here. And this was during, you know, Swamiji was talking to the UK. Well, just, you know, sorry, I keep flicking the slides. It must be annoying for people. And so there was a meeting at the ashram with Chris Hawkins, who's been hugely involved in the UK ashram and the construction, and Surendra Sashwati and Christine Godwin, who's a trustee. And they were all having a further meeting Swamiji had asked them for at the ashram. Well, I was busy, you know, having a chat, sitting on the lawn with Linda Dowler, having a nice little chat early in the morning. No idea what was going on around us. And suddenly somebody came rushing out saying, Swamiji wants to see you, Emma. And I'm like, does he? So anyway, I was invited into this meeting that was being held at the ashram. And I've just told, well, you're just here as a witness. And so I kind of listened to what was said. And at the end, Swamiji just said to everybody who's in the room, okay, does everybody understand? And so those that were involved said, yes, we understand. Because he said, tomorrow I'm going to Ahmedabad to a police shibir. So you know, I need to know that this is your last opportunity whilst I'm here. So Sashwati then pipes up and says, oh, oh, Emma's going to Ahmedabad tomorrow. She's flying home from Ahmedabad in a few days. So Swamiji said, well, Emma can go to the police shibir. She can get there. So I thought, well, again, I thought this was that I really want to go to that. Don't ask me why, but I really want to go to that shibir. But I was lucky because my flight was out of Ahmedabad, which was unusual because my friend Anna in the UK, who's a meditator, had said, oh, Emma, it's easier to fly from Ahmedabad. It's a bit further to drive, but actually it's great because it's a smaller airport and it's really simple to get around. Why don't you do that? So my ticket was from Ahmedabad. So I thought, I don't know anybody in Ahmedabad. How am I going to do this? I don't really want to go and stay in a hotel. And then I thought, those two doctors, Yamini and Twinkle. Twinkle lives in Ahmedabad. I've got her WhatsApp. So poor Twinkle, I text her, say, you remember the whole electrodes thing? Do you think I could come and stay for the night? Because I need to go to the police shibir. Nobody else is allowed to come, only me. Would that be okay? And of course, therein started a whole train of new connections.
Wow.
Going back to the Shirdi Shibir, the previous March, and so I went to the Shibir and stayed with
Twinkle.
old Dr. Twinkle, a fantastic company. Even though she was revising for further exams, and of course, when she took me on her scooter at like 4 a.m. in the morning to this shibir, of course they let her in. She didn't need to ask. They'll see. But it's all a test, isn't it? It's all a test of everybody not having attachment to anything. And then spent a couple of days there, which was absolutely, lovely. And then went home again. And not long after I'd been home, I was then contacted by Chirag Solanki, who said, would you come and do the medical retreat at Ahmedabad and come and give us some of the medical stuff. So of course, yes, of course I will. Which meant going on my own again. Oh, I've got nowhere to stay. Oh, but it's in Ahmedabad, so I could ask Twinkle again, couldn't I? and that's how these things start. And then of course, when we went to that retreat, and I think we've got, I don't know, I've now lost slight control over where the pictures.
Next slide you have.
Yeah, so this is the see, they've got a mind of their own, haven't they? There we go. Yeah. So on the get rid of that. That's sorry, the pictures keep coming up of people that confuse.
Yeah, no, it is fine. We are able to see it. Medical Retreat 2019. Right.
Okay, great. So the ones on the right hand side all relate to the paper that I gave on Samarpan meditation. And so down in the bottom here, you can see here is the group of friends that we got together. So here is Twinkle and Yamini, who were the ones who stuck electrodes all over me. There's Bhakti, who you've probably heard of from Rajkot. She's a gynecologist. And then here is Priya. And of course, it was sometime later after this that we realized that Priya was the doctor in the room when we were staying in Jaipur with Ram Swarup Tank, who kindly brought us into his house. And she didn't realize, neither of us realized who the others were until quite a lot later. What's also quite interesting is after this, back in the summer, Chirag came over to the UK. So that's a picture of Chirag by the Thames, because he was doing a fellowship at the University of Oxford Medical Institution. And so I helped him find somewhere to stay and kind of, helped him integrate into the culture for the
very interesting
weeks that he was staying with us. So it's an amazing kind of
working that going on, and how Guru is making it possible by connecting a sadhak with another sadhak from different countries. And right from the journey that you were saying, from the Shirdi Shibir, and how you came in touch with Twinkle, and then how it kept going as a chain reaction from one place to another. But at the same time, I see that Swamiji is making you medium. If you go back to the original journey, what he said to you in the earlier days that after you take this position, our physical connection will be gone, but you will continue staying in connection and continue doing the Guru Karya or becoming medium for Gurudev. That is what is happening. That is what I see in this experience that you are sharing, that how big picture Guru had and how bigger platform that he is offering you to share your knowledge, to share your anubhutis with the people in the world. Amazing story.
Yeah, and I'll come back to the whole twinkle thing in a minute, because on the left hand side was the German retreat, which was back in 2014. It says there, doesn't it?
Yes.
And again, I only went to Berlin to listen to Swaji's lecture, and whilst I was there, I met Kate Mackenzie, who I think you've had Kate on here, haven't you? In talking to Kate, she says, "Why are you not talking about the research that you did at Ashridge?" And I said, "Well, because it's not really medical." "Yes, but it's the nearest thing that we've got," she said, "to, you know, some good research on Samarpan." So I said, "Well, I can't just turn up to the medical retreat." So she said, "Oh, I'll sort it out for you." So I was going down to the fire ceremony that was at Heike's in Johanna's place. And so she bounced up to Benita and said, "You know, can we ask Swamiji if Emma can come?" And so right at the last minute, I had to change up my plans. I had to get more leave from work. And so that was the medical shibir that I went to. And funnily enough, Eva was there talking as well. And she hadn't expected to see me there because I wasn't intending to be there. So it was a really great way of engaging. And we went to this lady's house in very, very close to where the thing was being held. And, you know, she's an amazing soul who's now met several times through the German retreats that I've been on since 2014. So I've kind of ended up going from being a UK person to a kind of, you know, a bit like that film, you know, International Man of Mystery, you know. I seem to be lucky enough to get a bit of traveling going on, which was the very thing that I didn't really enjoy. So, you know, be careful of the things that you kind of wish for.
There's so much energy in this slide that shows that Swamiji really invested a lot of effort and a lot of blessing in his workshop with the doctors in these medical retreats.
It was. I mean, there were lots. I don't know, 500-700 people there. It's amazingly well organized. You know, by the dean of the medical school. It was a fantastic retreat, and it was fantastic to be part of it. But I realized that, you know, what Swamiji was doing was making me do everything by my own efforts and not relying on anybody, and you know, giving me that confidence to go anywhere and do anything, which was amazing. You know, really an amazing gift.
Dr. Viresh Garak from Canada also was there in that Germany retreat. He also presented some experience about the rain in that retreat, I believe.
That's right. He did. And then just extending back to the Twinkle story, that following the medical event, I'd arranged to stay on for a bit, and Twinkle very kindly said, "I'll look after you." And we decided to do an ashram tour. We didn't have that many days, and she didn't have any leave, and she didn't know how to tell her boss how she was going to take leave, because he wouldn't have let her. But by some miracle, the day that we were due to go, she'd been holding off. The day we were due to go, and she phoned in. They said, "Oh, I'm sorry, he's got, I think, something like chicken pox or something," and you know, he wasn't in. So she said, "Oh, if he's not in, then I can't tell him." So, you know, we got a few days, and we travelled to Dundee. You can see on the left, and we had tea with Rambai at his house, and he showed us his scooter that he used to take Swamiji around on, and we had a lovely couple of days there, I think. And then, because it's near Ahmedabad, these are some of the kind of first early pictures of the Mahudi Ashram, which you know, fantastic, lovely site, which obviously is now getting completely transformed. But again, a lovely visit with Twinkle to that. And then to Kutch, which I love. I adore Kutch. I don't know if you've been, Hitendra, I'm sure you have.
Yes, I have been there.
But again, you know, got the opportunity over here to go down into the Gadistan. I couldn't get enough of, you know, how many minutes is it before I can have another go down there again? Just absolutely loved it. And obviously you can see it's in its primitive state there. And then they're showing us what it's going to look like. And then here's the kind of Swamiji's area. and yeah, we
Very
had a great,
beautiful.
really lovely experiences, and again building strong relationships. Dr. David Mater, who does a lot of talks. We stopped and had dinner with him and his family on the way back from the Kutch Ashram. We just didn't have enough days to fit the Rajkot one in, I'm afraid. But
Right.
amazing experiences. And then a couple of months later, it was a busy year, 2019. I was invited to the well, firstly to there's a brief slide to Pandapur event that Swamiji did, and then the doctor's retreat at Karad, which is just south of Pune. And again, a great meeting up with people that I'd known, people that I kind of met again. There's David Mater here, and then obviously Benita, because I was traveling with Benita, which was a lovely time to spend time with Benita again.
You and Benita were mostly together in those retreats or in those workshops,
well,
right?
I've known Benita since Penru days, so it's been really lovely traveling, and then it's just an amazing experience, and a beautiful place to go. And then this is the Pandapur Shibir over here. So Sashwati rang me up and told me rather cryptically, if you want to come to this medical retreat, there's an event at Pandapur first. Can you meet Benita at Mumbai airport, and we'll sort out how we'll sort out that you get driven to Pandapur. Wow. Which was ours. We got there and there was a thunderstorm that was like, came from nowhere, and it took several hours to get there. And when we got there very late at night, and Benita and I went into this little cottage, and no idea where we were or what we were doing or what was happening. And then the next morning we opened the door, and it was next door to the Ramanis, and
wow.
And then, oh yes, they're here. And then let's go for breakfast. And it turned out this was breakfast with Swamiji, which was
very interesting. Very interesting. It looks like you were put in the right place. You were brought to the right place with the right people, without you even knowing that I'm going to be there tomorrow.
No, exactly. We're back to where I was in the early days in India. I've no idea where I'm going. I just follow the latest,
Yeah.
And this is when we went to Vital's shrine, and Swamiji was telling us at breakfast time how, repeating and chanting the name Vital is really good for your heart. The Vital. So
Vital, Hari Om, Vital.
Yeah, and then after that we went to Akalot, because Swamiji had some connection with Swami Samant, who had passed over, and then during the 45 days he came to know that he perhaps should go to Akalot and to the ashram. So we did a tour of the ashram at Akalot and stayed for a few days before we then went to Karad. So these are very precious times, very precious moments. I mean, I have thousands of photographs, but I fear you will all be in there.
You have very beautiful collection. Let's.
But yes, there's one story that I will tell you, which is when Swamiji came to stay, and I'd moved house, and I hadn't been in there very long, and so I was in the attic. Ujwala was in the second bedroom. And Swamiji was in the main bedroom, and he said to me after day one, he said, I don't know. He said, the energy in this room's not very good at all. He said, you can't stay here again. He said, in this room. He said, he said, you'll have to go and sleep somewhere else when we've left. Oh, great. I thought, I've just bought this house. You're telling me that, I can't sleep in the bedroom that I've just. So yeah, I listened to him, and then every day I'd kind of, walk up and downstairs and all the rest of it. And, Swamiji would be kind of sitting in my room holding forth. And I was thinking, this is great, isn't it? And I'm not even going to be able to stay in there again. I don't know. So then one time at breakfast, I said, Swamiji, I said, can't you clear it? Can't you get rid of whatever in there? And he said to me, no, he said, I can't. He said, I've told you, that's it. So anyway, I bumbled on my way. And then at the end of the stay, he came down to breakfast one day. He bounced down and he said, I've got some good news for you. So I said, what's that? He said, well, the room's cleared, but I want to explain to you one thing. He said, the thing is that when there is some negative energy, it's like a spot on a white cloth. And however many times you wash that, you can't get rid of it. So you'll never erase it completely, but you can make it better. So you can go back and stay in your room, but you might want to go and stay in the other room just for a while until, I guess, the energy settles. And he said, but the thing is, this was the test, he said, was that, you know, you follow what I say. And because you follow what I say, then, you know, I've done that with my gurus in the Himalayas. And if you have faith with your teacher, your guru, whoever it is, and you keep your faith on them, then that's the best thing you can do. And he said, I've seen in this that you've been able to do that. So
in fact, this reminds me one very beautiful thing that Swamiji tells us in his discourse. That Guru is very kind, he is very generous, and he is always giving to anybody who comes in front of him. It's like so graceful that knowingly or unknowingly, while he is traveling on the airport, for example, people who comes in his aura get cleared also. So you being disciple and making a connection with Guru with prayer and meditation, of course, you are more blessed. And in your case, Emma, if he comes and lives in your house, in your master bedroom, for example, there is no greater gift you can get out of it. But cleansing you or the energy around you is one thing, and tasting your Samarpan is another thing. Swamiji gives his story that how when he was with one guru, he was 100% only surrendered to that guru because he lived in the present moment, and for that time that guru was everything to him. The same way, when Swamiji is asking us to do as any sadhak or post holder, it is more about testing our obedience, that how much we trust him, how much we can surrender ourselves to him. So on an energy level, he is doing everything that is possible for him to give us the comfort and the better future. But at the same time, when he's asking us not to do, and if we really follow him, that is the time when we are winning or when we are passing his test. You know, this is the taste of obedience rather than taste of energy. That is how I see in that example. Very beautiful story, Emma. And that is what I admire about you, that for us, we understand everything that Swamiji speaks. We can communicate in Hindi with him. But you, even without understanding every word that Swamiji is telling you, you have developed such a great level of obedience and surrender bhav, samarpan bhav in your heart, is telling a lot about your soul's quality, your soul's virtue, and your soul's spiritual journey. That is what I notice, and I want to bring to the attention of our audience, that this is what I would try to focus in Emma's journey, spiritual journey, that we can learn from. Amazing story, and how Gurudev is making you instrumental and connecting with so many different sadhaks from different places, and how he gift you. It is like Swamiji says, bin mange moti mile, mange mile na brik. When you are not asking, you get the gift of pearls. And when you are asking, you cannot get even a piece of grain or what you call big, I forgot the word, meaning that something that is donated to you or gifted to you. You don't get that by asking, you get it by grace. And that is the first principle of spiritual journey. God is always graceful. Guru is always graceful to us. He will give you when you really deserve, when you progress to that spiritual level. So that is beautiful story. Thank you. Let's hear something very interesting on the next slide.
Let's see if we can get to the next slide. There we go. Here we are.
Yes. So this person, this soul sister of yours, Eva, she inspired you to go to Shirdi Mahashibir in 2018. And you already shared that story. I have heard her playing the flute in 2004 Chaitanya Mahotsav, as we see in the central picture. She is such a beautiful soul, and I personally complimented her in that program when I was talking to her that, do you know, Eva, what is the most precious thing in the love story of Lord Krishna and Radha? The flute. When he left Vrindavan, uh, he gave the flute that he was playing to Radha, his soul console, or the most beloved person. And when you are playing the flute, it shows your dedication, your love for your guru, and how much bhav she has for Swamiji when she was playing. And now I will pass it to you.
Okay. Well, Eva was, Eva started in Samarpan, I think, around, I can't remember, about 2003. And I remember Carrie saying, "Oh, we've just got this new person joined. You'll get on really well with Eva, because she's got a really great sense of humour." And I was living in Cheltenham, which is quite close to Wales at the time, and we used to meet up with Carrie and the rest frequently. And Eva did have a great sense of humour. Now, I know if you knew Eva quite well, not to everybody's taste, it has to be said, but her heart was completely pure.
Yes.
And she was the glue that held people together. She was always ringing them up saying, "Oh, how about meeting here? Or, shall we all meet up there? Shall we all go for a meal?" That was obviously one of the things that she loved, along with her music. And so what we used to say about the music was that, when you're playing music, you enter a different connection, and your focus is on the music, which again, like art, is part of a much higher vibration. And of course, she was a world-class player of the piccolo, which is on the right, and the flute, which is on the left, that she's playing by the keyboard. And I have very special memories of Eva, very happy ones. And she when Swamiji came over in 2016, she asked me to go and stay with her after Swamiji's visit. And she said, "Could you just come and stay, for a couple of nights?" So yeah, sure. And she didn't say any more than that. And then when I got there, she said, "Oh God, I'm looking after Swamiji." She said, "I've found a house and this. Can you help me?" But I wasn't allowed to tell anybody till kind of now, if you like. And so I kind of helped her with the final preparations. We had a really, really lovely time. And then we, she came to the Theosophical Society, which was an event that I kind of set up with Maria as well. And we had a really good old jolly time. But her sense of humour and her loyalty to you as a friend, and her her ability to make sure that people were being brought together, and
Very true.
something that was really very special.
Her smile was very contagious, though.
It was very contagious, but she did, she did have a very raucous sense of humor, it has to be said.
Yes.
Samarpan comes in all, shapes, sizes, humor, you name it, and diversity is everything in Samarpan, and Swamiji welcomes everybody in every possible way. So, but we have got a little clip of her playing, so if people would like, it's just a couple of minutes. So just before Eva died, literally 3 or 4 weeks before she died, she was playing at the Royal Albert Hall. She was at the pinnacle of her career, and BBC Newsnight, which is a programme that comes on nightly that digests all the BBC News, at 10:30, asked her to close out the programme because they'd heard her at the Albert Hall and they really liked it. So they posted it on the internet. So I thought it might be just a nice thing to play to remember her with lots of love. Here we go.
Thank you, and thank you to BBC Newsnight for making this available to us.
Yeah, exactly. Freely available on the internet. Here we go. You ready?
Wow. 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 It's like going into totally a different world. So beautiful.
I mean, that is an incredibly difficult piece to play. It's quite
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and incredibly difficult. And amazing. So if anyone wants to actually see her playing, then they can just Google.
This is great opportunity for us to show our love and gratitude to her for her contribution in Samarpan family also. And I want to pray for her soul to be liberated at the lotus feet of Sri Shiv Krupanand Swamiji. Such a pure soul, such a loving soul, and always happy, always smiling. That is how I remember her. And it is beautiful that you were able to share those moments, her memories, that how she became instrumental in giving you the signal to go and attend the Shirdi Mahashibir. And that shows the soul connection that you had with her and many other souls that you described in your story so far. Very beautiful. And Sonalji has shared the Twitter link for this video that she was playing. Anybody who is interested, they can watch that on their own later. Thank you very much, Emma, for sharing this with us.
Welcome. Thank you. I think we've covered the points.
Yeah, most of the things that you discussed in your answer.
Yeah. And again, here, we've covered all of that.
Yes.
It was interesting at the Swami Samanta Ashram. Swamiji was talking to people, the small group of people that were helping organize the Karaj Shibir, and we were sitting on the floor. Swamiji was on a bench with Guru Ma, and he was talking to the different meditators, and about, I don't know, 5 of us or something. And then obviously I didn't understand what was being said because there was no translation, and he just kind of focused and said, "Oh, what are you thinking then, Emma?" So I said, "Well, actually, Swamiji, this was September 2019. I'm thinking, what's going to happen? There's massive political turmoil with Brexit in the UK at the time." And I remember, I knew anyway that when he was in the UK, when there was the vote to leave Europe, he had correctly predicted the outcome. So I thought, oh, well, really turbulent times, ask him what he thinks. And he just looked at me and he said, "If I was to tell you what's going to happen, in the immediate future, Emma, more or less Brexit or no Brexit," he said, "you won't be able to digest the outcome." He'd said about Brexit that the UK would leave, but he then said that everything would be okay, kind of with Brexit. Whereas on the other hand, he said, I wouldn't be able to digest what was going to happen. And of course, by the time we get to Christmas, we're getting into COVID starting. And
yeah.
so
And he's
he
very careful. He's very careful not to tell everything that he knows, because he was telling me also that if I start saying this, nobody will stand next to me. So sometimes he has to hold, and it is telling us that how difficult it is for those gurus who understand the energy, who knows a lot of things in the environment, but they keep quiet. It takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of control, and it takes a lot of how you say foresight, seeing further, that not to hurt somebody.
Yeah. And I remember back in 2003, 4, when we were at Penru, we used to have evenings where we would sit in the sitting room, and he would talk to us. And I remember him very clearly saying, "You don't know what the new age is going to bring." And I'm thinking, well, I don't even know what a new age is. But anyway, he said, this new age is coming in, and it will be very different, and you need to be meditating. This is 2003, 4, and he said things are going to come out of the earth. There's going to be disease, there's going to be natural disasters, but if you meditate, you're going to be okay. And that was all those years ago.
Yes. Very interesting and beautiful memories that you have with Swamiji, and even with sadhaks visiting different places like Swami Samarth Ashram, and lovely pictures, lovely description, lovely memories. Let's go on the next part.
Yeah. This was an example which I'm happy to share, because I remember at the time he suggested I shared it. So he was staying, and we had been to an event at the Theosophical Society, and the next morning, and he'd spoken to some lady afterwards briefly, who was wanting to do some kind of film. It was just nothing. It was all very tentative. It was nothing kind of grandiose, and it wasn't a meditator. And this person rang up Swamiji, or rang up me the next day, and I took the call. Swamiji was having a rest, and he wasn't about. And Ujwala was cooking in the kitchen, making chapatis, and this woman was quite agitated, and she really wanted to speak to Swamiji. She really wanted to see him, and she was kind of almost insisting she wanted to see him, and that she'd said that maybe they could do some kind of film or whatever it was, and it was really insistent. So I got a bit perplexed, because I put the phone down and I thought, okay, well, Ujwala's cooking, and I usually, when she's cooking, you don't go and interrupt her, because obviously energy passes all the time. Even when you're in the car with Swamiji, you have to be careful that you don't talk about somebody, because that will immediately bring their energy state to him, and that can affect him depending on where that person's at. So anyway, I braved it, and I said to Ujwala, this person's on the phone, what do you think? And so she said, I don't know, I suppose I better tell Swamiji when he comes down. So anyway, not too long later, Swamiji appears saying, oh, who was on the telephone? So he'd obviously picked up the energy, and we said, oh, we'll tell you later, we'll have lunch first. So Ujwala prepares the lunch, brings out the chapatis. Unfortunately, chapatis have got a bit burnt. She said, oh, I don't know how that's happened. So anyway, Swamiji starts eating the chapatis, and then after a while he starts clutching his stomach, and Ujwala and I look at each other thinking, oh dear, what have we done? And he says, oh, I'm going to have to go outside. I'm going to have to go outside. So he goes outside. He sits. I have a stone bench in the garden. He sits on the stone bench by the pond, and opening his aura, clearing himself, whatever. So anyway, he does that for however long. Then not that long, he comes back in again, and then he rushes upstairs again to the bathroom. It's very odd. And then after a while, he comes back down again, and he says, well, this is interesting, he said. Basically what had happened was he picked up the energy of something coming in, which is why he came down. I had spoken to Ujwala, and because that brought the energy of the situation of the woman, it had affected the chapatis and burnt them. So I had then eaten the chapatis. The chapatis had then, upset his tummy so that they hurt. So he had to go outside and clear himself. And he went outside and cleared himself. And then he had to go to the bathroom because, his tummy had been a bit constipated. And as a result, the energy of clearing it had cleared that. So he said, all in all, actually, the outcome wasn't, there was an unintended positive outcome, which was that obviously his tummy got better. But it's the degree of care that if you're around him, that you have to be so careful that, you can't take phone calls from people, yes, and you don't know what states they're in, because he picks all of that up. It's just being aware of that massive sensitivity around him.
It is very, very important for those who are planning to host any event for Swamiji, and Swamiji is staying at their house or in the environment where we are dealing with Swamiji and other people outside, because even we were warned about these things, that Swamiji's entire living is managed on an energy level. So who is going to cook, how they are going to cook, what kind of sentiments or thoughts they have, everything counts. And not just that person, but the environment. Like, you are picking up the phone, the energy is going through the phone call also from that person to whoever was talking in the house. For example, here, Emma, you were talking, and Ujwalaji was cooking. And look how the impact is. Swamiji has to clean himself, his aura, in order to get out of that effect. In fact, I have noticed and heard some of the sadhaks who have reached into that level also, that they cannot absorb, they cannot take that kind of energy anymore. They go outside, they eat in the restaurant, they cannot digest the food because of this negative energy that people have in the cooking by the chef, whoever is cooking there. So people are becoming very sensitive just by doing Samarpan meditation for so long. And these are the people, these are the sadhaks whom Swamiji says that I literally worked on them to make a small seed to the plant and to the tree now. So those disciples are becoming like a tree in whose presence other people literally feel the energy and cleansing going on. So that is beautiful things.
Yeah. Yeah, and another interesting, I didn't mention it when I was talking about Iona and the ferry between Iona and Mull. No, it was actually Mull and the mainland. And we were driving along, and Swamiji kept looking at his watch saying, "Oh, do hurry up, Emma." And I'm like, "Well, no, we've got plenty of time, Swamiji. No, we haven't. I'm like, no, it's fine. I booked the ferry for blah, and we're all in good time. We're going to arrive, at least half an hour early." And he's became more and more agitated, and we literally drove up there, and they were loading the last car on, and he said, "I told you," and I said, "Told me what?" So he said, "Well, that's our ferry, isn't it?" And I'm like, "Oh, yes, it is." So he knew that I was about to miss the ferry because I'd, forgotten the right time. He didn't know the time of the ferry, but he knew we were going to miss it.
Isn't it something?
You have to be careful of your thoughts, and in the sense that you just are aware that you're either in a thoughtless state, or if you're trying to organize something, you just have to keep your
There are a
attention.
lot of things that we don't pay attention to as little things, but he is aware of the thoughts that is going on. He is aware of the clothes you are wearing and how those clothes also have the vibrations that are not good for you, or that is going to be creating a negative impact on his aura body. So every little thing, minute thing that is going on a subtle level, that is we take for granted, is creating an impact on his subtle body, on his aura, or on his energy body. So we have to be very careful when you are living around Swamiji.
Yeah.
Very sensitive energy body that he has.
Yeah.
And it is all for us. It is all for us. He is doing everything for human beings around him. Very interesting. So we can move on to the next question.
So the next question is: be using my professional knowledge for. I think quite.
You covered up a couple of things. Were you able to use your professional knowledge for the Samarpan family? Let's see. Basically, you have so much that you brought in with your professional career and education and background, everything that you have. You have given in the medical field also, medical workshop, to our doctor's workshop also. You want to share more about those things?
There's probably not too much to share, apart from, I suppose as a professional and you're in an organization, then assurance of what you're doing is a kind of fundamental number one thing, isn't it? So the status of the organization has to be assured, and that things are being done in the right way. And I suppose obviously I do a lot of that working for government, running projects. I understand infrastructure. I'm a surveyor by trade. So all or some or none of these things can be useful to the organization itself. Leadership, I think, is obviously a key one for any organization like Samarpan. Not specifically speaking about Samarpan, but and also diversity as well, because we're all different, and it's bringing together people from different cultures, different regions, different countries. It's a massive organization, and I'm over the many years I've been working, and I've done different courses and degrees, so I've done research. I wouldn't say I'm a research expert by any stretch, but I understand the principles of it. But what's great about doing something like the research, for example, is that you can then bring in people who do have those skills. So
very true.
There are people in other countries who help me and have helped me with the research a lot. So it's a fantastic things together, and using for good the things that you learn in your job. I think is probably
right. So greater outlook, greater diversity demography, and being inclusive and open-minded, open-hearted is very important when it comes to applying our professional knowledge into the Samarpan family, Samarpan organization, or our Guru Karya. And certainly, especially we want to do some research work, that attitude, that open-mindedness will be the only key factor that can help us to develop a model or to develop something that is more versatile and acceptable to the greater audience on a global platform. That is how I look at it.
Yeah, no, I think that's right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, where possible, I'm always very happy and open to use whatever skills I've got for Samarpan.
That's very true. That's very true. And I want to take a moment at this point to let our audience know that I intend to bring Emma in the future session just to share her professional knowledge, the kind of workshop that she has done with the medical workshop or other programs in Samarpan, so we can learn what she has presented there in her presentation. So we will have a special session just for that, because otherwise this session will be going more than 5-6 hours.
Yeah, no, I
And you agreed with us, Emma, right? That you will come and share
Yes,
your knowledge
of
with
course,
us.
very happy to. Very happy to. That's
Thank
no
you. Thank you.
at all.
I'm just locking you in.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I can see that. Run fast, Emma, run. No,
Yes.
that's no problem.
Yeah. So these are all the series of events that where she was able to give to our Samarpan family, different occasion, different places, different event. And we are very thankful to have your presence and have that specific eye and expertise that you shared with us.
Not at all. Not at all.
Let's
Delighted.
go, let's go on the next question. Yeah, so I believe that we are getting closer to the end of the session. Would you like to give any special message to our audience and all the sadhaks who are doing Guru Karya and those who are very curious how I can progress fast in my spiritual journey?
Well, meditate, as Swamiji would say, be constant in your meditation would be my kind of key thing. Take it at the level you want to take it. Don't push it if it's too much. If you want to have Samarpan heart in your life, that's fine. Nobody will say you have to have it holy in your life. If you want to have it holy in your life, that's also great. That's what I've chosen to do, and it really works for me. Doesn't mean to say I don't, I don't work, I don't, do all the things that I do. But, people can be on different paths, and everybody's here to kind of support everybody else, I think I would say. It's a special, simple approach. People tend to value things on a monetary level, so they tend to value the fact that this cost me 500 quid to go to a workshop, it must be great, as opposed to what Swamiji gives is for free.
Yes.
And it's a very different approach, and so most people miss the boat because they don't recognize the quality. What do you get if you get on the boat? You get great meditation. My best experience of when Swamiji's opened his aura was at Karad, when everything was dark and I opened my eyes and I could actually see this burning white translucent light at the side of where his physical body was, and I'd never seen anything like that. And it's those small glimpses that you get that help you understand you're more than this body, you're more than, and that helps in your work, it helps in anything else, because it gives you a bigger picture, that you're not just focused on worrying on what's in front of you, you're opening and looking out and saying, if I'm in difficulties over something, it will pass. Just have the faith, do your meditation, stay balanced, put a prayer in if you need it, that's great too, and then let go. And the right things will happen. Don't try and control anything, because I'm hoping that you can see from the presentation, in lots of these examples, I didn't control anything. I had to let go because I couldn't speak the language, or I wanted to go somewhere and I didn't know how to get there, or whatever it was, but it will always work out fine as long as you have that complete faith. And meditation is not complicated, it's not difficult, it doesn't have breathing exercises. it was everything that I was looking for at the beginning when I said, well, astrology too complicated, religion, there's quite a lot of scriptures and stuff you have to learn and stories. This is about experience. This is about connecting to your own soul. You know, what can your soul tell you? Your soul knows the answer. It knows whether something's good or whether something's bad. You know, and I think in the organization, it's all about valuing the skills that we all have. You know, creating an open playing field for everybody to be able to give of themselves if they want to. It's not about, you know, particular countries or people or leaders or whatever controlling things. It's all about people having the opportunity to support. And I think that's what's really important. And that kind of global message and that understanding of where is Samarpan going and how can we get on that train? What's the vision? How can we all play our part in that and do that in a positive way. It's not about ego. It's not about, because of course when ego starts to build, I think we've all seen it and we've probably all done it, and I can probably no doubt own that too, that when you go into ego you push it away, you push the energy away. So it's not what you're doing, it's about what we can do. What can we do as a group and as a team? How can we best help and being part of that wide collectivity? And you can see, I mean, it's given me fantastic opportunities to go abroad, to travel, and also, you know, to build these relationships that are really important. Swamiji said many years ago at the beginning, he said, you know, the next generation is the one that's going to take it forward. And I feel very lucky to have, you know, friends in India now who are part of that generation and really get Samarpan and, you know, are living it, which is a really fantastic, you know, and meeting your team as well. You know, all of them have just been so helpful and, you know, in helping me put the presentation together. And I also think, you know, it's that letting go and surrender. And, you know, one of the biggest things that I've learned is a personal one in the last year. You know, it's about really letting go. And if you're meditating and you're balanced, then things won't touch you in the way that you probably think they would. So, you know, as some of you know, I lost my mum last year, not of COVID, but during the COVID period. It was very difficult. And I thought, you know, my mum was 93. And I thought, you know, well, you know, if anything happened to her, I'm very close to my parents, you know, I'd probably have to go and live in the ashram for goodness knows how long, you know, just to kind of balance myself. But, you know, it happened at a time when you couldn't go anywhere, let alone almost to the hospital. But, you know, when she got very poorly, I mentioned Priya to you earlier, Dr. Priya, who was at the same place as Ramswamy Tank, who I mentioned in Jaipur. And she happened to text me out of the blue in the middle of the night, which she'd never done before, and asked me how my mum was. And it was the very night that my mum was the most poorly. And she stayed, you know, texting me all night whilst, you know, we're waiting for emergency service and all the rest of it. And, you know, she and the others were there kind of helping me understand what was happening in the hospital. And, you know, you make those connections with people and they don't perhaps necessarily understand what they're giving you, but from all of those links I've talked about today, you know, some really important things happened. And so for me, having that connection at that particular moment in life, you know, was enormously important for me and, you know, really synchronous.
Yes, and give you some strength in the time when you really need, you know.
Absolutely. And, you know, Yamini, for example, being able to kind of, you know, lodge a pair in the right language, so I'm not having to kind of think about it and, you know, then has to get translated and all the rest of it. It's just those things that are, you know, for the times in your life that's really important. It's very interesting to see what pops up and who pops up. And if you're open to it, it happens. It happens. You're never alone. Swamiji said to me, you know, when he was leaving the Isle of Wight, and he said, you know, well, after, I've done what I can with you, you know, up to this point. And he said, you'll never be alone because you've always got the energy with you, and just always focus on that. And I think that's the message I give to anybody. It doesn't matter, you know, where you are, what stage you are in life, you know, the energy's there for everybody to take, and just find those quiet moments and sit there, and you'll feel your soul start to expand. And that's what I've felt over the years happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think your words are so convincing and strengthen your Samarpan and faith in Swamiji and his love for the mankind, his grace for the mankind, that is coming in the form of Chaitanya, consciousness, and blessing. Everything that you shared, everything that you were saying, I agree with you, because uh, here it is not about material world. Here it is not about the ego. And you said very beautifully that ego pushes away the energy. Ego separates you from the other people. Ego leaves you alone, and that creates more insecurity for you. That creates more pain and problems and anxiety and stress, all kind of negativity for you. When you are going into ego, you are separating yourself from others. But the moment you start getting open-minded, the moment you start connecting with the other divine souls in the Samarpan family, you don't even realize your problems are gone. You don't even realize you are opening the door for the positive energy and consciousness to come in your life. And you don't even know that Guru is trying to help you through those sadhaks, through those strangers. You have to be open-minded. You have to be willing to take help. You have to be willing to work with open heart and work as a team. That is why Swamiji says, before, when he was in Himalaya, one Guru was passing down the knowledge or the siddhi or the powers to one disciple. It was easy, like giving $1 coin to another person. But now it is not a $1 coin. It is change. It is all the pennies that is going to hundreds of people, thousands of people, millions of sadhaks. Okay. And unless and until those sadhaks will not come together, they will not work together on a soulful love with the harmony, this mission will not continue, and you will not be able to feel the same level of Chaitanya or vibration or energy that Guru wants us to realize in our life, to materialize in our life, and pass it on to the next generation. So very beautifully said, and a lot of things to learn from your story, Emma. I really bow down to your soul. And one thing that we expressed our gratitude to many people. If you can bring back to the memory that you shared in the first part, one person was Nilaben Patel, who is no longer with us. But Swamiji told, uh, when I met him later, after she passed away, that in her last days, she made a request to Swamiji that I want to see you. And Swamiji did not give time to her. But Swamiji says that because he wanted her to keep her attention on Swamiji, because during this lifetime of Swamiji, she was going to take a birth again, rebirth again. And Swamiji says by doing that, he kept her focused on Swamiji's Chaitanya, Swamiji's subtle body, so that she can come in the sadhak's family. She become a sadhak again in Swamiji's lifetime and get liberated in the next time. Because this past life, her body was not cooperating with her, but in next life, her body is going to come and cooperate with her, and she will be liberated that way. So Guru has so much in-depth vision about you and your future. We don't know, we don't understand. If we can trust and we can have faith, he will certainly help us reach to that final destiny where we are supposed to reach. And that destiny is nothing but moksha or liberation. All this material thing, or the money and power and position and this and that, name, fame, are temporary things, are going to stay here. Our soul cannot take that with it. But what we can take with us is the consciousness, that spiritual progress, that karmic entanglement. If we leave behind and become pure soul, become pure consciousness, that is the only thing that is going to stay. And leave it to Guru. It is the best way, because he knows more than what we know about ourselves. And our soul will guide us. Our soul will guide us. That is what I feel. Very beautifully.
And you know, on that note, you know, my mum was a meditator for a number of years, but she came to meditation late. So it's always a good advert to, you know, come to meditation early to kind of be able to smooth out, you know, the mind.
Very,
and
very
by being up here during COVID, I could play Guru Panima. We did Guru Panima together, and also the Shibir that he did, Christmas 20, was it?
Right.
And I used to leave it on her tray table to let her listen to the discourse. And I'm guessing through that's how the connections worked, so that she got the support that she needed at the right time, for it to, be, what could have been very difficult, something that was very peaceful and, a very beautiful passing.
Very true. Very true. And everything happens for a reason. We have to take it in a positive way, and we have to see the light at the end of tunnel as Swamiji is coming in our life, and we got the gift of Samarpan meditation and so many positive souls around us. There must be some good karma that we did in the past life, that we got such a beautiful Samarpan family in our life,
And I think that's right. And I think what I've learned, and I really like to share with people, is that, when I've had these difficult times, and, I lost my mum, I've lost 2 of my cats in the last year. As you know, they're my fur babies, but I've,
Absolutely.
2 naughty kittens now, but hey. But what I like to share is that through doing the meditation, what I found is that when things happen, you keep meditating, but your mind is becomes like cotton wool, and actually it's very hard to keep pulling your attention back. So where Swamiji said in his discourses, when somebody passes, don't keep pulling them by the legs back and grieving over something, let them go. I've really, really, really experienced that, and that has been really, really helpful, for all of the difficult things that I face, but particularly those kinds of things, and so hopefully that might give heart to people who similarly face things. That just keep up the meditation, and the energy will really help you through difficult times. Really, really well.
Very, very true. I agree with you on that part. Do we have any other questions, or I can pass it to the team?
Jai Baba Swami, there is a very important slide at the end of the notes of this question, which is about UK Ashram. If you can talk about that, and then we will take over.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, please go ahead, Emma. You will have to bring it to that slide after notes. Yeah, go further. And this is Ashram slide. Thank you.
Yes, so it has been our tradition that when we are talking to our guest from other countries, or even in this country, we end with the Guru Shakti Dham project or the Ashram project that they have currently going on in their country. So this is the progress of UK Ashram Guru Shakti Dham that is going on, and I would like to urge our audience, our viewers, sadhak, non-sadhak, to have a look at it and go to that website and help us to reach to the target to complete this project, because Guru Shakti Dham is a very unique project where these living energy statue or the Mangal Murti is going to stay for next 800 years. And this is our meditation hall or retreat center that we are going to use for sadhak or non-sadhak for the upcoming future generations. So I request you to support us in this mission. This is the beautiful partial project completed already, as you can see, and I will let Emma to comment more, because she recently visited the ashram.
Yeah, I mean, it is an amazing place with amazing energy, and I live a lot closer to it here than I up at my family home rather than my own home, and I've had the opportunity to go and visit quite a lot recently, and there's fantastic progress. It's an amazing structure. The energy is really, really strong. We're very lucky to get darshan of the statue, and it is for the future generations. It's for that part of the jigsaw globally to put in place in the UK, and then be connected to everywhere else. And if we can only imagine what that will be like in the future, that would be amazing. So yeah, I mean, anything.
And you have the website samarpanmeditationuk.org. If you want to know more and if you want to contribute, you can visit that site. You can see this QR code also if you would like to donate or support us. But we really appreciate. And with that, the interview part or the question parts are over from my end. I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart and from my soul to your soul. Namaskar, Jai Baba Swami. Thank you, Emma, for being
No,
so.
thank you, all of your team. You've been amazing. You've been amazing.
Jai Baba Swami.
Jai Baba
Thank
Swami.
you, Emma. It's beyond words. And you have taken us through, not just today while preparing for this session, I've been reading wherever I get a chance. I read your notes and just absorb every bit. Sometimes some things you said, sometimes some things you shared in the form of picture or notes. It's so much learning through it. Every minor point mattered, every line mattered in that journey, and you generously shared with us, and you worked so hard last few days to make sure everything flows in the sequence. So like the guru said, you have a beautiful heart, and we could feel it throughout this. So before we go to the thank you, there is a little slide that I would like to talk about. Pranamji, if you can go to the next slide. If Emma, have you stopped sharing? Perfect. So this is a TIS promotion from our team to you. If you all audience felt the energy and felt the energy of Swamiji and loved listening to the journey of Emma and Swamiji, please tell other sadhaks who have been in the proximity of Swamiji, so we can bring them and share those treasures, those pictures which are in probably somebody's Google Drive or cameras, and bring them out. And like Emma was preparing for this session also, and she lived through those 21 years of journey, every moment of that, while sharing this with us herself. So it's a very precious moment for all of us to go through this TIS sessions. So please spread the word for us to tell others about the sessions and give us. Now I will ask Pranavji. Emma, we have a couple of questions from audience, so please take a few more minutes to answer that.
Okay.
Jai Baba Swami, thank you very much, Emma ji. It's such a treasure, the valuable information and all the experiences that you have and then you've been sharing. It's really helpful. Actually, I want to say something because it's very nicely how you articulate all the experiences that you have went through, and how you actually described how all of these small pieces of puzzle, when it will come together in form, in terms of energy and all, right, how it's going to help the humanity and the world. The same way, I personally feel that the TIS here is a big, it's sort of solving a big puzzle of the history in the making, right? And you are actually bringing in a much, all the information, experiences, and all the pictures and a history that you're bringing in. It's kind of filling in the gaps, that we have in that big puzzle of this history. So it is, it's really, really, useful. Thank you very much. So we have few questions. We have a YouTube viewer, Kiriji, who is probably still watching. He had two questions. One was, how do we experience the state of meditation? So we'll probably go one by one. So if you could please help answer him, how do we experience the state of meditation?
I think at a really straightforward level, this is my own personal view, would be that when you sit for meditation, you notice that you will notice your thoughts, and we all still get them. We all don't immediately necessarily go into a thoughtless state. That the experience, I think, for me is that when I sit to meditate and I've done the mantra, that I feel that kind of sense of peace, that the thoughts, I notice that the thoughts are stopped almost, if that makes sense, and that I can feel the energy for me coming up from inside. So it's that, it's that soul that, and it's very hard to describe what that might be for each person, but for me it's what I feel is that just sense of calm, that sense of peace, and feeling fairly rooted to where I'm sitting. And then you notice that the time has gone by very quickly, as opposed to when when you sit and you notice you've got lots and lots of thoughts. So I guess what I'm talking about is experiencing a good state of meditation, which is when the first series of things perhaps happen. But then I guess other people will have because it's an individual, it's an individual sport, isn't it, really? Because all of our souls are trying to get in touch with us, and they probably try lots of different ways to do it. But I think the key for me is in that silence, whether you're sitting staring at the photo or staring at the flame, depending on how many thoughts you've got, it's that moment when you feel that peace, that moment when you feel that you're connecting internally.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that perspective. So we have another question from the same viewer, Kiritji. He's asking in another question is, what is the difference between deep sleep and meditation? So if you can, bring your perspective on this question.
Well, one of the reasons that Swamiji always says to sit with your back straight and attention on the top of your head as the part of the technique is that because if you lie down, you will probably most likely go to sleep. And then you're obviously not, consciously, you're in a different state. Let's put it like that. So, the advice on meditation is that you are sitting. You're in this approach. Your attention's on the top of your head. You're sitting and just being, and that normally involves thoughts lessening. Deep sleep is obviously you're knocked out and you go off into a different level of consciousness. I'm no expert on levels of consciousness, but that would be my you need to be awake and sitting up to be able to meditate truly, I think. Otherwise you're not aware of what's I'm sure there's a better technical answer there.
Okay. Thank you. So we have last question, and that is actually from me only. Yeah, so I was actually hearing you talking about letting go. So this thing came into my mind, say, if you could share your ways and perspective which actually helped you let things go, when any uncomfortable situation or things arrive or come or even stick to you. Sometimes some situations actually stick to you, right? Keeps coming into your mind. So how do you kind of manage that to kind of let it go?
I think the first thing is to try and consistently keep your meditation going, even if it feels a bit more difficult during those times, because your mind can sort of play lots of games and divert you here and divert you there and make you interested in this, and then you find out, I've run out of time to do my meditation today, or whatever it is. So I think keeping a consistency of meditation, you could maybe meditate twice a day rather than maybe once a day, see if that helped. You could read either a Samarpan book or another spiritual book that's kind of akin to the Samarpan thinking, and just try and find ways to remain positive or have positive conversations or speak to somebody who is positive. So it's starting to do those things that are going to be kind to you, to bring good things to you, rather than let your mind obsess and overanalyze on what's not working for you or what's not helpful. So and what I was trying to say at the end when I was saying when things have happened to me and things with my mum, I've been very, very grateful that the meditation has allowed me in those situations to literally be held, and that's when the energy is working for you. So it's having that faith, I think, Pranav, really having the faith that when something happens, you will get over it and the energy will help you, it will hold you. And the other thing is, in a simple way, the energy's around you all the time. You can pray to the energy, you can surrender it. That might not always feel easy. And so sometimes I find that, I get to points and I think, right, I'm going to put a prayer in now because I can do no more. So for surrender sometimes for me is I'm just going to put that prayer in because it's something physical that I can do, which is write out a prayer to really disentangle what's going on and let it go. Now, you may not, you don't necessarily need that. It's another of the kind of handrails of, support in Samarpan. But sometimes just actually being able to do something helps the mind.
Yeah, makes sense.
The other thing is the age-old thing that Swamiji teaches about going and standing on the lawn, grass, barefoot, and just asking, Mother Earth to absorb your negativity, and you can generally feel the energy coming out from your hands as you hold them down by your side. So I mean, those are some. I don't know if those are helpful or things that you kind of do, but
yes,
that's generally just try and remain positive, keep meditating, stay in the present, and have faith, have total faith that whatever you're being faced with, it won't last forever. It will change, and little by little, meditation will have a really big impact on what's happening. And that whole surrender thing. This is not my problem. Can the energy just resolve this? And if this is something I'm meant to think or feel, or that's okay, but just know that you're going to be fine.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you very much. So that is it from the question and answers perspective. I'll hand it over to Sunalji. Jai Baba Swami.
Jai Baba Swami. Thank you.
Jai Baba Swami, very beautifully said, Emma, and we could all feel it today, that when there were things going wrong, I would not say wrong because they were meant to happen, like how we were struggling initially to share PowerPoint, downloading, then YouTube went down in the middle of the session. There were, if we have a faith in Swamiji, we know that this is meant to happen for a reason, because when YouTube went down, there were so many people who became medium to make it up and go for the session again. There were people from India who were helping us, and they were meant to become medium for this energy, and that is why the whole the drama of thing happened in the middle of the session. So if we have faith in Swamiji, and you both kept the energy so beautifully up of the session during that there was, even you were in the morning, you were cracking jokes and you made us laugh that never deal with children IT and other things. So just be in that humor and enjoy the life as a viewer, and everything will take care of itself.
Yeah,
so
I didn't say that to Pranav, but humor is a big part of all of it. If you can turn something into something that can make you laugh or somebody else laugh, it's a big gift.
Yes, you made us laugh in that moment, and you were saying, I'm in panic, but we could not sense your panic energy at all that time in the morning. So like, are you kidding me, Emma? Calm down, we'll figure it out. And it all worked out. So it was beautiful. So here is a tribute from our team to you. And the team has pictures of all the TIS team who are behind the scene, but there are pictures of TIS team who are not behind the scene, are still with us during the session, who contributed to the success of it. So here we go, just for you, Emma.
Oh no. As I look back over, was it 21 years since I joined Samarpan? People come, people go, people come back, people go again, people come back again. You don't know what it is, but it is. I can see that now. It's that seed that people get planted. I know inside me that this path is the right path. It's not asking me to do anything I feel uncomfortable with. If I feel uncomfortable, it's generally around my ego. And those are the things that I've had to overcome,
Good memories, huh?
Yay. Oh. Oh, that was lovely. Thank you so much. That's amazing. There are so many of you.
Yes.
There are so many. Yeah. And there are so many who are not in the video, like I said, who were just jumped in from India, from wherever to help us with the YouTube going today. So there are a lot more.
You never know where those links will take you, you see. That's what I've learned. You know, one small link, like, can I put an electrode on you, can lead to, you know, a whole new world of friends. And, you know, it's, but, you know, I couldn't, you know, I hope I've given you what you want. You know, I've tried to make it, you know, interesting, but most of all, you know, somebody has to ask you to take it out of yourself. And I really appreciate the fact that you've asked me, you know, genuinely, because, you know, over 21 years, there's been some ups, there's been some downs, there's all kinds of things that have happened. But if I can share with anybody, I'm always really, really happy to do that. And I think sometimes that's a bit of a missing link in Samarpan.
Yes, and I think this program is trying to dig deep inside in the history and trying to make people aware all that what we are doing is not for me, not for you, but for our next generation. And it is the mission of our Guru that we are joining in hands to hands with him and trying to make people understand that this is not a personal thing, this is a collective thing. This is not a work of one person, but it is a work of group or collectivity, soulful collectivity, atmiyata. And that is what I love about. And every guest who is coming is bringing something new, something very interesting and very inspiring. You are one of those speaker with whom many people from the Western world are going to connect, and will try to appreciate that how open-heartedly and open-mindedly you have embraced Samarpan meditation, and what a great change it brought in your life and in the life of others through you. So that is something that we all should appreciate and admire, that with one act of good, as you said, can I put the electrodes on you? That one act of good, one question can lead you to new connection, new soul connections, new soul family, soul tribe. And that is what Samarpan is all about. It's a beautiful.
It is beautiful. And, you know, in the break, I picked up a text from Ram Swarup Tank, who said, I've just realized watching this that you came to my house and you had, you know, he didn't realize that, you know, I've seen him at some events in Nepal. I think he went, and I saw him at Shirdi, and I saw it somewhere else. And it's really interesting, isn't it? He obviously, why would he know that I was involved in the organization? But yeah, he texted me in the break and said, "I can't believe it," But in the same way, neither could I believe that Priya was in the same room. She was working at the hospital at that time, but I didn't meet her for several more months. But it was sometime afterwards when we shared a video, and she said, "But that's me. I was there."
Wow.
So
it brings so much memories, so many interesting stuff from our life, and you feel so happy, so delighted to share these things, and we appreciate your giving spirit.
No, but I appreciate more all the support you've given me, because I must have been an absolute pain this week. I can see that, because I take a lot of notes. I've taken lots of notes and diaries and stuff all the way through this. And of course, when somebody asks you to do this, you're kind of thinking, I haven't got any of that because it's all at home. I've got most of my photographs apart from, Scotland and Paris. But because you just have faith that Swamiji will make you, give you all the things you need. But I was really worried that we'd only got 2 hours.
No problem. We really enjoyed it. I think it is almost now, how many hours? 5 hours?
Yeah. You've had enough of me, haven't you? You want your tea?
Yeah. No, it went very beautifully. One last thing. Can we have Swamiji's blessings video before we stop live, please?
Yes, please.
आप सबको खूब खूब आशीर्वाद, आप सबको खूब खूब आशीर्वाद.
Thank you, Swamiji, for making it happen.
So it says a lot of blessings to you all from Swamiji. And it's a tradition for us to close the celebration with that video. So that's why we shared. So thank you so much, Emma. And thank you to the audience who were there with us here and on Zoom and also on YouTube. Because of your energy, we could do this session. So thank you very much, everyone.
Appreciate your cooperation, because without the audience, our program is not complete. We are doing it with your support and your love, and with a lot of grace from our guests like Emma. Really appreciate that, Emma. And